Hello people of all kinds, it's Scorching here. So yesterday, 22nd of July, two albums came out. There's Periphery, Free, Select Difficulty, which is what we're going to be reviewing today. I didn't even realize it came out yesterday because, well, I realized on the day, literally. I didn't even realize that it comes out on that day though. But I've listened to it about like 4 times or something through now. So I think I'm ready enough to do an album review. The other album was the new Crown the Empire album, which I'm hoping to do maybe tomorrow, but I haven't been able to listen to it yet, so I'm not sure yet. So going into this album, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect because I haven't heard the first 2 albums, so I've only heard Juggernaut, Alpha and Omega so far, and that's a pretty fantastic double disc right there. But I wasn't entirely sure what the band would sound like when they're not telling a story like that. So I was wondering, is the sound going to be affected by this? Well, it is kind of. Kind of got a false impression when listening to the very first track on the album. In fact, the first sort of 6-7 minutes of the album left a false taste in my mouth. Just for the simple fact that there's some cool guitar stuff going on, sure, but it's just very heavy, not completely generic, but mostly bland gent. It's still fun to listen to, I guess. It's energetic, you know, heavy, but there's nothing catchy about any of these. The very first track, I don't remember much from that track. And then the second track is definitely steps it up a little bit more. I can remember some more stuff from that track, but it's not until the third track on the album, Marigold, where things really start to pick up for the album. And you can kind of see this with Marigold. Just the moment it starts, it opens up with this epic 7/8 string part that's very orchestrated, and that instantly just stands out as being something much more interesting than just the guitars on the other tracks. And the guitars do play an amazing part for most of this album, with very incredible and beautiful riffs in many parts, especially like at the start of The Way the News Goes. But it's not until Marigold that I feel like the band kind of steps up and says, oh yeah, we're doing this as well. We're keeping things interesting. So yeah, after those first 2 tracks, everything else on the album, well, I mean, the second track isn't that bad actually. Just neither of the 2 tracks are bad at the start, but they just could have opened it up in such a better way that would let people know, give people a better idea of what's coming on the rest of the album, because the rest of the album is phenomenal. On Juggernaut, Alpha and Omega, the band had an interesting sound for me, with just their weird atonal riffs and their weird melodic things that just stood out as being totally different, and that just did a lot for me with those albums. Those kind of weird riffs and beautiful riffs again in some parts show up again on this album, but again they've got like strings and piano parts, especially again the Way the News Goes, that ends with this another beautiful piano part. Other songs do as well, and they're just ecstasy to listen to. Like, if I could like loop some of these riffs and just play them in my ears for like an hour straight, I would happily do that. The Way the News Goes, by the way, is probably my favorite track on this album, at the moment anyway. You know, again, it's just beautiful. Epic choruses show up on this album a lot. You know, Catch Fire, Absalom, Preposition, there's just loads. Pretty much most of this album is just really strong, consistently throughout. There's a set style here, consistent throughout, but there's also there's always something that keeps each individual track interesting for me, and that's very important for an album, I think. You know, having a consistent sound, but always mixing it up a bit. Making sure each track doesn't feel like it's a reinvention of the last. And you know, there's different track lengths, there's different interludes between the tracks, just tagged on to the end, that just gives you like some breathing space before crashing into perhaps a heavy moment. And of course, this just keeps the album not too predictable. You know, some albums you just kind of know what to expect with their sound. This is one that, you know, surprised me, especially when I got into like that string part after coming off such a heavy first two tracks. That was just a pleasant surprise for me. And by the end of the album, I was left feeling very satisfied with a smile on my face, especially with the last track, Loon, which is just a perfect way to end off the album. You know, the final climax with the gang vocals before going into one final string interlude at the end. That's just a perfect way to end off an album. My only complaint again is just that they could have started the album a bit better. But apart from that, this album's pretty incredible. And I'd even dare say that it's even better than the previous two albums, Alpha and Omega. So that's definitely a good thing. And that pretty much sums up the review, guys. Let me know what you people thought of the new Periphery album. Like, comment, suggest things. Subscribe please for more, I'd greatly appreciate that, and that's pretty much all I have to say. Ta-ta.